Good morning and welcome to the garden. Today is May 15th, 2024. This is Texas, Fort Worth area. We have had a lot of rain this spring, and so the garden has not needed me to be artificially watering it with the hose and the sprinkler that you see there on my tomato trellis. I'm sorry, I get my vegetables mixed up. And I am not a organized gardener. I kind of just let it do a jungle thing, and I don't weed very often. So this is amateur garden hour. I'm going to kind of just point out what's in the garden here. This is a carrot left over from last year, and I'm going to just let it go to seed and see what we can get growing from that seed. This right here by the fallen over tomato trellis is potatoes. These are potatoes. That's a potato. That's a potato. It was a bag of potatoes from the grocery store that were starting to sprout on my kitchen counter, so I just went ahead and cut up the sprouts, the potatoes with like one sprout each, and put them in the ground, and that is what these potatoes have resulted from. And then down here in the little corner, this is an elderberry bush. Excuse me. And it is from a cutting that I received from a nice doctor at work. The cutting is just a small stick with some leaves on it, and I put it in water and it started growing roots, and after the roots were fairly developed, I brought it out here, or actually I planted it in a small planter box first. So it got used to the soil, and then I brought it out here and planted it in the corner of the garden. So in a couple years we should have some good elderberries. And then out here, this is just random sprinkled seeds that we've got: zucchini plants, corn, get my finger in the picture, corn, and there's peas behind the corn. I'll kind of zoom in on that. We have one right here is a pepper plant. It's going to be banana peppers. And then in the back we have tomato plants. So there's a tomato plant there. There's a tomato plant there. And there's a tomato plant over here. And I'll walk around and show you those things here in a second. And I've got all my spare things here in the corner. So I've got tomato cages and sticks for putting up trellises. I put these literal bags of mulch. Yeah, that's not how you're supposed to use the mulch, but that's how I did it this time. Just mulch around to kind of help hold in the soil and keep the grass from crossing over into the garden area, so I do not have to weed as much. But again, this is a jungle, and this corner of the garden I've completely ignored, and so it has gone weed crazy. And there is a berry bush in there too, and I tried killing off that berry bush, but it just keeps coming back, including this one right here at my feet. They have tubers. So that berry bush is where I originally planted it over here and kept cutting it down, but it sends its roots out, and they went all the way down to over here and sprouted out another stem. This berry bush is more of a vining kind, and so I usually was weaving it into the fence back here. You can see one of them's right here. And the berries on that one are not as big and juicy, sweet as the other ones, so I didn't really want this one to be there, but it is, so we're gonna just let nature do its thing. This is a beefsteak tomato plant, yeah. Again, my tomatoes and potatoes, I'm gonna keep messing those words up. Then these are the zucchini plants, and let's see if there's any baby zucchinis in there. That one might not be a zucchini plant. Nope, that one is zucchini. Okay. I've got pumpkins in here as well as cucumbers, and so this one looks like it's a cucumber plant. The ones that vine, that keep going out like this and have the little twirlies, those are going to be either melons or cucumbers or pumpkins. But the ones that don't have the twirlies are going to be the zucchinis. So this is past the leaves. This is a zucchini plant here. So these are the male flowers. They come in a long, slender stem like this. And then the female flowers, they have the start of the zucchini at the base, and then they have the flower on top. Once the flower gets pollinated, it will continue to develop the zucchini. If the flower doesn't get pollinated, the zucchini just dries up and falls off. And plants tend to put out the male flowers first. I think that's kind of just a practice run, and then they develop the females. Okay. And then we have the corn. I've done corn in the garden before, and it is not historically done well. So this is the best one I've got so far. And then I've got a couple over here. And then the peas. The goal was to let the peas climb the corn, but in hindsight, that's not the best plan, because the peas grew a lot faster than the corn did. And they're starting to develop some babies. So there's a baby pea coming on. And then this is a tomato plant right here. This one is cherry tomatoes, and we've already got some on the bush. You can see how small those are. Just need to ripen up. And down here too. Nice little cherry tomatoes. And then again, that's my twirly sprinkler on a stand to keep it above the height of the bushes, so that when it twirls around and shoots water, it doesn't hit just the stems and stay in one little tiny area. But it does. Oh, and we got marigolds planted around here too. So marigold, they're just, again, everything is just scattered in here. And I think I just stepped on a corn. And then I have this huge apple tree that is just covered in apples, and it's weighing it down so much that the branches are almost touching the ground in some areas. And then growing through the apple tree, we have another berry cane coming up. This one is more of a freestanding type of blackberry, and this is next year's cane, but it's actually fruiting this year, I guess because we've had such good weather. Good rain, lots and lots of rain. And then there is asparagus that is shooting through the apple tree as well. That is at least 7-8 feet tall, coming up there, if you can see that. Well above my head and ability to reach. And I do have a long picking stick to get these apples off the tree when it's time to harvest the apples. Underneath the apple tree, we have last year's berry canes in here. You can see that it's definitely older than the others. And I am getting rubbed by the tomato plant. Smell it on me already. Okay, and you can see the berries they're still ripening up. So I've already picked the ones that were ripe, like that one over there, that once they're done producing berries for the year, those canes are going to die, or not, they're not going to die, but they're not going to be doing anything. So I'll be taking them out, literally. I'm going to try to get through the gate right now. It's stuck on me. I'm going to cut them down to the ground. I'm going to show you over here what I'm talking about. So each year, from the ground, you get one long cane like this coming up, and it'll keep going, just keep going. So I tend to nip off the top of it at a height that's good for me. This one's about 5 foot tall. So I've nipped off the top, and then it starts sending out side branches. And I've nipped this one off at the top too, right there. And then it's going to start sending out branches from the side as well. So here's a little branch in the cut that's coming out. So these ones I've nipped off the tops already, and you can see there's like 5 branches coming out of one stem. So all of these branches that you see wiggling right now are coming out of one main trunk, because I have chopped it. All right, all the leaves in the way. So the main trunk here And again, these ones, too close for y'all to see those things. So all of these are one trunk. And then the branches from last year, the trunk from last year is right here. And you can see these are the baby. This is the first year, and this is the second year. So this is the older branch, and this is the younger one. The older one is the one that's going to fruit and have fruit on it. So these ones are still turning dark, so they're not quite ripe enough to cut. This one is almost ripe enough to pick. This one's still got some work to do. And these babies, the first years, tend not to bloom. They're supposed to bloom next spring, but because we've had such a great watery spring, rainy spring, they are all blooming this year. So I'm gonna get like a bumper crop. I've got those ones that are just now coming into flower that will fruit, and then I've got the fruit. I've already got 2 gallons of berries in the freezer to make some jam. Oh, look at that little lizard. Let's see if I can get you on camera. Look at that little guy. He's just hanging out. Oh, he's camera shy. He's either coming to eat the berries or the apples. Or the bugs that are around here. And gee, there are lots of bugs. When these berries drop and hit the ground and get all sweet and juicy, I mean, there are critters everywhere. Roly-polies, little fly gnats, lots of stuff. Plus, the apples are falling off the apple tree because of the windy, haily, not, unexpected spring storms that we get. And it smells like apple cider around here sometimes in the warm sun. Excuse me. Here's some berries that are still green. Now, again, my garden is a slew of a mess. This gate right here, this wire, chicken wire, I put in to keep the dogs from sticking their faces through here and eating the berries. But that was several years ago, and so it's kind of fallen off and gone to the wayside. And then this is the bird netting that I had over this whole section over here where the main berrying bushes were. And I had it draped over that fence back there that I put in temporarily, and this side over here too. Since the berry season down here is about finished and these berries were starting to grow through the mesh, I decided to take it off so that we wouldn't lose a lot of berries from the mesh being pulled on top. So this is just a blessing from God, these berries up here. So if the birds get them, the birds get them. But I'm not going to put the bird cover back over. And then this is the line where they were supposed to be growing all those berries. But like I talked about earlier, the berries roots in the ground, at one plant, it will go out, it's a bramble, it'll go any direction and come up. So from this corner of the garden, those bushes came up from the roots going that far over and propagating over to that section. And they propagated back over there on that side of the apple tree as well. And this fence is the outer perimeter that I wrapped around this section here. I folded it up right now, but it was out there to also help hold the bird netting and to keep these guys from eating the berries. Don't you even think about it. He's either going for an apple or a berry. Nope. And he is looking for ripe berries. Okay. And again, this is how much apples are on the tree. And I know professionals usually take the clump of apples like this and thin it down to just 2 or 3 instead of the whole thing, so that the nutrients from the tree can, really concentrate on specific apples. But I'm just letting nature do its thing, and whatever God blesses me with, he blesses me with. Here is a ripe one that dogs haven't found yet because it's on the outside of the fence. And then these are more stray. No, actually I planted some here at the first year, but because of the shade of the apple tree, as you can see, it's shady here and sunny over there. These ones do not get the same height or the same amount of sunlight to do their photosynthesis, and so they don't grow as big. And underneath the apple tree, where it is cooler, we have the asparagus garden. And the asparagus is one of those plants that you let grow all year, and then you cut it down in the winter, or actually it dies off in the winter. And then in the spring, the new shoots that come out of the ground, when they're just about 2 or 3 inches tall, you dig down a little bit and then cut it off at the base, and that's the asparagus you eat. So you'll harvest asparagus right in the spring as the baby shoots are coming up, and you let it go the rest of the year. And so these ones have grown tremendously. They're all the way up into the apple tree. You can see through there the asparagus branches that are well above my head. I think that's about 8-9 feet in there. Walk around this way, you can see the same thing. So here is a asparagus shoot that has worked its way through, and it's at my height where it starts to bend, right about in here. And this is as tall as I can reach to hold it up in the air, and I don't know if it's focusing on anything. And then it's got its little berries that will seed for next year. And look at that big clump of apples. Apples, apples, apples. Yeah, we're gonna have to have an apple picking party. Those ones are way up there. And again, I do have an apple picking stick to be able to reach those and get them down. I learned my lesson from last year. All right, and then this is the weedy side of the garden. And then behind me, we have the grapevine, and you have to prune this every winter when it goes dormant. Get down. He's looking for squirrels. You find any squirrels? Yeah. So I prune it every fall or winter, but this year when I pruned it, I didn't take away all of the sticks that I pruned off. So like these are just hanging loose. You can see the end where I pruned it off at. I just left them there for this year's vines to be able to kind of grab onto, since the trellis is kind of, I did have this wire across it and it's broken up and fallen apart. So there's not any more things for it to hold on to, and I'm being lazy. So you can see where the grapes are starting to form. Those will be little grapes. You can see where some of them might have already been nibbed by the animals. Would you stop that? You're making a lot of noise. Yeah, he's just squirrel hunting. You see anything? Nope, there's nothing there. No squirrels. Nope, go chase them somewhere else. And again, these won't be ripe until the end of the summer. Okay, get down. You're gonna pull it off the wall. And again, the apples over here. And the back side of the tomatoes. So that's it for this year's garden. Hope you all enjoyed. Bye.